We're on Book of Ruth now, and the book is still dealing with the land, as we found and would discover when we open up the book of Joshua and Judges. We're still dealing with the land, but we're given a most beautiful story, and you know the story well. And you might think I'm going to talk on the verse that which Ruth gives to her mother-in-law. I'll go with you, and your God will be my God, etc. That's a key verse, and that's worth reading. But the verse that I want to give you is this one. That man is our choice relative. He is one of our kinsman redeemers. They were coming back to redeem the land that belonged to the husband of Naomi, and a land that Ruth could therefore enjoy. But in those days, that land now was up for grabs. But they wanted to demonstrate that the land that they had rejected was the land which they needed to enter into and be part of. In other words, the purposes of God, both for the land and for what he wanted to do with the land, was still there. In spite of the devastation of famine and those other things that took place in those days. Maybe even there'd been the great devastation of locusts that used to come on the land so often when God wanted to demonstrate his displeasure with the people. Well, whatever it was, they say, that man is our close relative. He is one of our kinsman redeemer. That was Boaz, of course. That was the man. And you transfer that to Jesus and say, who is your redeemer? This is something that Job knew about. The last day my redeemer liveth. And you have a redeemer, and I have a redeemer, and we have a redeemer. And who is it? It's Jesus. So you have two things connected with Israel in those days that was prophetic. The one was the land that needed to be redeemed, of course, but with it was a person. It wasn't just to redeem the land. The land needed a person who would be the redeemer as well. So this double truth jumps out at you from this verse, that you have a land to possess as a Christian. You have a family to love and to share the love of God with. You to go out the extra mile. You to do the extra thing. You to demonstrate the extra love. You to redeem. With my case, I had to redeem my childhood. I had to know what it meant that my childhood could be turned into something that had value for the future. And I could point out some things in my childhood that I believed later on helped me for the future. We had to redeem the past and redeem the future. And when we talk about Israel, and when we talk about their prophecies, and when we talk about their futures, which we do in the Bible, we must never separate that from the Redeemer. You can't just talk about Israel as a nation, as a land, without talking about the kingship of Christ and the redemption, and he as the Redeemer. And you have a promised land to possess, and you have a Redeemer as part of that package. That should encourage you today. I hope it does. Boy in his Bible. See you soon.